There are five major misconceptions about being spiritual that are holding you back. Spirituality is not a religion. It is a personal spiritual practice that you have with yourself of how to go within. It's the union that you have with spirit that is really on your terms, and it can really include anything that you want that makes sense for you. And so a lot of people claim that they're spiritual, that they do believe in something higher than them, a higher power, but they are not aligned with any organized religion. So the first biggest misconception, number one, is that there has to be this sense of perfect serenity, that in order to be a spiritual person, there's only a level of peace and tranquility that has entered your life and is permanently going to be there. And if you have any other emotion besides that, being upset, being angry, being anything that doesn't seem very guru or spiritual, means that you couldn't possibly be a spiritual person. And that's the furthest lie from the truth. We're all human beings and we're all going to have our own emotions and we're going to get to go through all of them. That is the human experience. Nobody gets out of it, unfortunately. So being spiritual doesn't mean you get out of any of that. And why would you? If you really can understand from a spiritual level just how wonderful all of those emotions actually can be, that teach us something, that help us move through like an instrument, like you have your highs and you have your lows, then it becomes just this wonderful array of experiences that you can look back on. And it's usually the emotions that are the most challenging, the most difficult, are the ones that help us gain the most insight, wisdom, and knowledge into our lives. So we definitely don't need to feel like if we're not at peace or calm or in some sort of Zen place that doesn't that isn't realistic, or is like this level of perfection that is nirvana and can never be reached. Don't worry about it. That's not at all what it means. It just means that you are aware and you have a consciousness and that you're connected. It really is about the connection and the way that you walk in the world. So that brings us into misconception number two, the idea that there are strict rules that you have to be spiritual around. You can't eat meat, you can't wear leather, you can't do certain things, you can't walk around at night, you can't look at the moon, you can't do anything that's fun, you can't, or that you have to eat grass and you have to pray 55,000 times a day and you have to somehow know how to do back wheels and cartwheels and sit on the ground for hours on end with your legs crossed because you're in chants, and you have to do all this like acrobatic spiritual posing to show that you're some sort of spiritual person, that without doing, rubbing crystals up against your chest and burning incense, that somehow you're not that spiritual. And that's not true. Like, again, this is your path, your way of life. You get to call the shots. You get to decide what's best for you. And it may not be the same. How I decide I want to be spiritual is going to be different than what you decide to be spiritual. But the goal is that we're connecting to ourselves. We're connecting to our higher self, God, source, Mother Nature, universe, however you like to label that. And that's the other beauty of spirituality, is that you can label whatever your higher self is, or whatever you being that you believe in to be, you can call them whatever that aligns with you. And it's on your terms. If you want to never meditate and you're just as happy to listen to music and find a way to center into that, that's great. There's lots of different things that we can do that help us. The goal is that we're connecting. The purpose is that we're connecting. We're finding meaning within our own lives, and we're doing what we need to do. And we're doing what we need to do to make ourselves feel the best, to make ourselves feel in alignment with the universe and with our own sense of being. Biggest misconception number three is that you have to have some different identity shift, that there's some sense of you having to change your name, be a certain way, have a certain way of dressing, have a certain place that you have to go, hanging out with certain people. Like there's somehow that you're going to have to make this radical change to be a spiritual person, is really up to you. it's going to be up to you to decide what you want to do. If you want to wear leather and chains, you can absolutely wear leather and chains and stiletto heels and drink fruit punch all day and be the most spiritual person on the block. It doesn't really matter, does it? You can do whatever you want. And you can have any identity, you can keep your identity and still have a very spiritual life. This is a very in close proximity with how you're going within. And the things that you do in private really are no one else's business. The fourth misconception about being spiritual is that there's some sort of disconnection from reality, that you have to believe in the spaghetti monster, aliens, quantum leaping, jumping. You have to believe it. You have to wear an aluminum hat and sit in a closet and shamalama ding dong all day long. And that you have to identify and adopt a whole trait worth of a whole list of different types of belief systems in order to say that you're spiritual, or that you may not like the fact that you're wanting to be associated with different groups. Again, that goes back to identity. You can decide how you want to portray yourself or not portray yourself. Your spiritual life is an internal world in which you get to really do the work of self-development, and how you show up in the world will just be a reflection of that. So your connection from reality to reality within reality is really about how you need to navigate through the today, the present, how have you handled your past, and where are you going into your future. So there's no sense of a disconnect or having to believe in every single thing that's under the umbrella of spirituality. Misconception number 5, that a spiritual awakening, to be that spiritual person, only happens one time. The spiritual awakening is an ever evolving, ever unfolding process, and there are layers to it. And sometimes you don't even know when they're coming. It's usually out of some sort of tumultuous experience, some kind of crash moment that happens, tower moment that happens, where what reality was now shifts and changes and no longer completely is. It's what the dark night of the soul is, which I did a video about if you want to check that out. Talking about just the situation itself, but usually out of that, there's some epiphany, awakening that happens, and it's a way for you to lead more in your life and to be more. And every time you want to level up and do more, you may have another type of awakening. You may see a new level and layer of perception that's going on in the world that you didn't see before. And this may just be ongoing for the rest of your life, because that is what a spiritual life is about. And you get to mold it and do whatever you want with it. And you get to label yourself however you want, and you get to do whatever you want, eat whatever you want, dress however you want, listen to whatever you want. The only thing you need to do is believe in that there's something higher than you. There's a stronger life force, source of power, however you want to label that, and that you have some sort of connection to that, that you understand you're a piece of that, that you're connected to that. And in my world on this channel, it's very much about being a co-creator and being in collaboration with this source of energy so that you can start to leverage it, and that magnetic force, that natural force of life that we see in nature, that we see everywhere around us. And we use that, we understand the nuances of our own momentum to build out the things that we love, to do the things that we love, maybe even the things that we don't always love. And we move through those difficulties and obstacles with just as much grace and compassion for ourselves to get through them. And we have a really beautiful life. And there's an interior element to that where we're going within. But sometimes if people may feel that spirituality isn't for them and they're kind of resistant to it, these might be some reasons why. And really, it's up to you to decide how it is you want to build your spiritual life and explore. Read texts that completely rattle you. Read texts that ancient texts, different sorts of texts from different cultures. Let it push and prod you in different directions. Let it be something that maybe triggers you a little bit and helps you grow and is a little contrarian to your own thinking. That's good for you. You need to have that sort of conflict in your mind to just resolve to see, what do I believe, and does that still change my belief system? And if not, great. And if it does, great. Both work. So have fun on your spiritual journey. Don't let anything hold you back, and know that you get to write your own rules because it's for you. It's your spirit that you're in union with. It's your spirit that you're in collaboration with the divine, the creative, source energy, natural life, nature of life. And you get to play out this scenario and this life however you want. It's up to you. It's up to you to design the life that you want. It's up to you to be that co-creator and show up in the way that only you can show up. So I hope this was helpful. I thank you all for being here. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.